What's going on, YouTube? Come back at you with another video. So we got an interesting situation going on with rapper Casanova. Casanova indicted back in early December on a RICO case. Now his family and friends, closest people to Casanova, are pulling together trying to get him released on bail. Apparently they have around $2.5 million in collateral that they're willing to put up. His lawyer is arguing that he be released on bail. I'm going to read you some of the paperwork that his lawyer submitted because I thought it was kind of interesting. We'll start with this, where he's basically arguing the government's point that Casanova is a flight risk. So this is what Casanova's lawyer says in regards to him being a flight risk. It says, Caswell Sr. is not a risk of flight, and any argument to the contrary by the government should be rejected. When confronted with the prospect of a significant prison term while at liberty and prior to an arrest, some people run and hide. Caswell Sr. did not do so. He learned of this indictment shortly after others had been arrested and presented to the court. He immediately contacted counsel to arrange for his surrender. Mr. Sr. was made aware of charges, the statutory penalties, and his exposure on the charges before the honorable court. The undersigned consulted with the government and made it abundantly clear that Mr. Sr. had no intention of absconding and would turn himself in. Indeed, on December 1st, 2020, the undersigned spoke with an agent who was at Mr. Sr.'s home and had contacted Mr. Sr.'s wife. The agent conferenced in the assistant United States attorney, and it was made clear that Mr. Sr. fully intended to surrender. The following day, our discussions continued. Mr. Sr. had requested that he be permitted to surrender on Friday, December 4th, 2020, so that he could make arrangements for his absence. The government insisted that he surrender immediately. Mr. Sr. complied with this demand. The undersigned accompanied Mr. Sr. on December 2nd, 2020 to the Midtown South Precinct, and he voluntarily surrendered at approximately 11:30 p.m. He was permitted to walk into the precinct where he was handcuffed and later transported to the Westchester County Jail, where he remained in quarantine for the requisite 14 days. We respectfully submit there is no credible argument that Mr. Sr. can be considered a flight risk. So then it goes on to talk about Casanova being a danger to the community. His lawyer, again, arguing that he is not. It says, while Mr. Sr. is charged with narcotics trafficking and weapons possession in relation to narcotics trafficking, there are no specific allegations in the indictment to support his actual commission of these crimes in furtherance of the enterprise charged. He is essentially alleged to be a member of the enterprise as a result of his rap lyrics, his profession as a rapper. In the government's detention memo, the government introduces Mr. Sr. as a rapper of some notoriety and claims that Mr. Sr. has amplified the message of the gang through his music and social media profiles. To further this claim, the government attached 2 photographs of Mr. Sr. with gorilla jewelry and posing next to a painting of a gorilla. While the government may claim that this is somehow relevant to its assertion of an affiliation with the other alleged members of this group, these postings are not evidence of any criminality. To be clear, Mr. Sr. vehemently denies trafficking in drugs or possessing a weapon in relation to any criminal activity. The government's claim that co-defendant Luster was overheard that Mr. Senior has called upon him to provide protection, and its extrapolation that a reference to hammers refers to firearms is likewise not evidence of membership in this alleged enterprise or the charges herein. Here the government has taken the purported words of another and foisted a nefarious intention to Mr. Senior. Mr. Senior has never Mr. Senior has never asked anyone to accompany him with weapons for any purpose, let alone his public videotape performances. Finally, the government cites Mr. Senior's pending robbery charge in New York Supreme Court as a concrete example of how he has relied on the gang for acts of violence. This is simply untrue. Mr. Senior was at a restaurant eating. The victim was using her phone to videotape him. He asked her to stop and she refused. The video clearly shows that Mr. Senior did not rob, I'm assuming it goes on to say this woman. Basically, I think his lawyer is doing a good job arguing the federal government's case. They really don't have much of a case, in my opinion, although when it comes to a RICO case, obviously they don't really need much to make it stick, but their case looks weak to me. The lawyer doing a good job poking holes in what they're saying. I mean, as far as Casanova being a flight risk, he pretty much proved that wasn't the case by turning himself in immediately, not long after this situation happened. So I think Casanova definitely, if his family and friends are willing to put up almost $2.5 million to give him bail while this situation is going on so he can fight this case from the outside, I think that the court pretty much should allow it. There's no reason to not allow it based on what we know about how Casanova's already handled the situation exactly the way his lawyer is pointing out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, though. Hit the like, subscribe, share, leave some feedback. Make sure you ring the notification bell if you're subscribed so you get updates on my future videos when they drop. Before you leave, please take just 1 second, too, to click the link I'm going to pin as a top comment. It's going to take you to a dope artist out there trying to get his YouTube channel monetized. He's almost there. Please click the link and subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing. I do appreciate you watching, though. Peace.